honor to welcome Juan Carlos Navarro.
Natalie, thank you for such a wonderful introduction. Good morning to you all. And thank you very much, Joseph, for hosting us. And thank you very much, Sir Mulwin Joseph, for such a clear and fantastic opening to this meeting. It is I will make sure I never speak after you again. Because you have literally laid out for all of us in very clear and elegant language the realities which we face. In fact, with my staff, I have prepared a speech, many of which outstanding points were already posited by my predecessor. And therefore, what I would like to do, rather than share this formal document with you, is to simply speak from my heart as to what I am seeing. The crossroads where we are today in terms of a deteriorating world global environmental situation, a warming earth, disappearing biodiversity, forests, oceans, mangroves, insular biodiversity, and life on Earth is threatened as we have never seen it before. Yet, amidst that all, we still see insufficient action on behalf of governments worldwide. Particularly, if we know already for a fact, if scientists have ascertained beyond any reasonable doubt that the planet is warming, and it is warming for the first time because of human action, how can we not act urgently, deeply, decisively, strongly, financially, politically, humanly, to stop this crisis? Yet, this is precisely what Antonio Guterres has been underlining again and again and again from the UN, from the same venue where we stand today. Yet nothing happens. Or shall I say, the minimum possible happens. I am here today simply to tell you that this is not enough, especially for small countries like Panama or like Antigua and Barbuda. This is clearly not enough. We are simply not doing enough to save our planet and to save our species. And one thing that is particularly galling and also particularly sad is that many of us are aware that we are destroying the Lord's creation. How can we, in a responsible manner, destroy life on earth? Who gave us the authority to lord and rule over life's creation and the Lord's creation? How can we today, those who are alive today, us, decide for future generations what species, what planet they will receive? This is not only unfair, it is deeply troubling, and I would say deeply immoral. From a moral perspective, I think we are all obligated. It is not optional to work as hard as we can with clear, concise, practical steps to make sure that we protect life on Earth and that we accelerate a path towards meeting climate change head on. For those of us from small countries, this is very clear. Even though our small countries, and this is especially poignant, our small countries will be on the receiving end of the consequences of climate change. Yet, we cannot do anything to stop it because the big polluters are here. The big industrialized nations, which are emitting carbon at unprecedented levels. Again, I refer to Antonio Guterres' permanent, desperate pleas from the UN to change course. Yet nothing happens, or not enough happens again. Today, as we analyze the links between youth and religion as it pertains to tackling climate change, it is especially relevant from my viewpoint that we realize that youth should decide for themselves. And youth will inherit our planet and our mistakes. What an especially powerful moment we are living. Never before in the history of mankind has one generation been in this position. In a position where our actions will determine whether life on Earth survives. If we find a way to bridge the gap for youth and for ourselves between religion, the protection of biodiversity, a smooth and accelerated transition to clean energy and electric mobility, and also a policy transition that involves the private sector, the religious community, youth, and the global political community in this endeavor, we will have a chance. And this is why the COP29 will be so important, because we stand today on a failed platform. We did not make our goals. We did not make it. We tried our best. We gave speeches. We came to the UN. We had lots of good faith. And as they say, sometimes the road to hell is paved with good intentions. How can we not see ourselves in this mirror? It is not enough to have good intentions. I do not doubt for 1 second that those of us who are here, and indeed many of the ambassadors, Mr. Ambassador from Antigua and Barbuda, thank you again for honoring us with your distinguished presence. I do not doubt for 1 second that many of the ambassadors who serve in this distinguished international body have the best intentions. Yet it is not enough. So I would like to simply underline again that unless we go back to our faith, to our values, to the deep civic, family, religious roots of our lands, be they in Africa, or be they in the Caribbean that we share, or in Latin America, or the industrialized nations, or London, or any of the areas where we all come from. If we do not go back to these values, we are doomed to failure. I am not a pessimist. Rather, I am very optimistic about how we can go forward. But to be able to succeed, we need radical change now. We do not need more hypocrisy. We do not need more of the same. We do not need, nor can we accept, the same minimum possible effort for political correctness. We need deep, immediate financial resources and commitments from the rich nations on earth. We need immediate action from all of our governments. We need a transfer of resources to SIDS, and yes, indeed, based on ABAS and other leadership examples which the Caribbean and Antigua and Barbuda have given the world, and other nations have given the world throughout our planet. We need action and we need resources from our countries, those who are on the receiving end of climate change, and we also need the participation, collaboration, and open support of the nations that are causing climate change. The leadership of religious institutions, I believe, will be crucial in the future on this path. Many of the things we have tried simply did not work. When we start to face the music in the coming years and the coming decade, when we start to live in our own selves the consequences of climate extremes, of extreme heat, of drought, of a lack of water, of a lack of food because of the lack of water, of prolonged hurricane seasons in our Caribbean that we share. When we start to live in our own selves, the flooding and the extreme weather in the northern hemispheres, in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, which puts our own lives in danger, then I think we will go back to faith. And maybe only then. Because many times, and unfortunately this is true, and I love your example, minister and teacher, only when we are pressured do we go back to religion. Only when we face death do we remember the Lord. And many times, only when we are faced with crisis do we remember our values and our family and the deep roots which make us what we are. And so I believe that as we face the climate crisis, we will go back to our faith. And faith and youth will pull us out to a better future. Thank you all for your time, and I look forward to our panel discussion now. Mr. Minister, it is such an honor, undeserved, to share this podium with you, sir. Thank you for your wise words.
Thank you.